Ugh. Ah. It is Tuesday, 5/5 Cinco de Mayo. Time for tacos and students. I'm going to pause the recording while my students populate.
Oh yeah, we talked about this in physics. What would happen if you ate yourself? Like, would you get bigger or smaller?
I think that's what he meant.
I got really bad. We make fun of my my girlfriend's cat because it like looks normal up top, but at the bottom it has like a Kardashian bottom. So like the cat is double the size, lower of the front two paws than he is the top two paws. So his like lower half of his body is ginormous. So we always make jokes about him being like a fatty and like eating his twins in the womb and everything like that.
The cat is a bottom?
Yeah. The cat is super fat from the armpits down. If you think about it, that actually makes complete sense.
For a cat.
Yeah, for a cat. Any reply from Lawrence?
No, he left me on red 4 minutes ago.
Whoa, you really pissed off Lawrence.
Me?
I guess it's like a thing, left on red. You guys are all like super sensitive about that type of stuff.
Yeah, Birdie leaves me on red every single day.
Bernie does?
Birdie.
That's not true, JP. That's not true.
Yes, it is.
That's not true, JP.
You know who does it?
That's not true, JP.
He only answers me when it's a picture of my dad.
That's
really not true,
strange.
JP.
It's kind of weird.
I mean,
David.
Not my dealio. I don't care.
Look at that. Alberto. Oh, it's too white. He left me unopened.
All right. So here we go. This is this week's. Yesterday and today, you guys had a web quest. I realized some of the links weren't working. I really need to go back and fix those.
Can you extend the due date?
What?
Can you extend the due date?
Why? I mean, in theory, you can turn it in like Wednesday if you really want, anyways.
Okay.
Right. So get those in. You guys got and then what's going to happen is our lectures are going to start to get a little ahead of where we are learning at. So you guys will have some of the background knowledge early. So I'm going to be front loading you in this. Wednesday, you guys have the Berlin airlift. Thursday, you have the Korean War. And we talked about the Korean War on Thursday last week. So you guys will go through that pretty quickly. It's literally one assignment. And then you're going to be talking about the Vietnam War, which is what we're going to go over today and Thursday. That'll be a web quest taking you into Tuesday next week. The 25th, I believe, is a holiday, so you guys actually have a day off. Next Friday is a quiz, and then in like a week or two after that, you'll have another quiz or another test, and then you guys will be going into your final, and that will be it. So you guys have one quiz, one test, and a final left, and that's it.
How's the final to be done?
Same way I do all the other ones, right? So I'll just post it on Google Classroom. You guys will knock it out. And we will go from there. There is a host of kids that have not done their last quiz. If you guys haven't, make sure you go do that. I can drop your letter grades, right? So if you're at a C, you could drop lower. Now, bringing up the grading scale brings up the next point that I sent out to your parents yesterday, and that is I have to adjust my grading scale per our department, per the board. The grading scale is changing right now, and that is obviously there's no longer an F. And so you can still potentially fail, but you won't get an F letter grade because an F letter grade sticks with you, goes on your transcripts, blah, 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 blah. What is happening now? What's up?
So it's just a D?
Well, not really. Let me give you an example here. If you have a 75%, you have a C in my class.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a 50 or you're failing, you're below a 60, you will now have a no credit, an NC. And so what you do is it means you have to make up the class. You do fail the class, but it's no longer going to appear on your transcript as a fail. It'll appear as a no credit, which is almost like dropping out of a class, right?
Okay.
It's like you failed, but it's not going to last if you go back and retake it. And so if you fail my class, you still have to make it up, just like you would an F. But on your transcript, it won't show an
The
F.
Vietnam War started when France tried to restore colonial authority.
Tristan, what the hell are you saying?
He's doing his homework. It's one of the
Yeah, I was in
questions.
the homework. My bad.
And you weren't muted. You just started talking.
Yeah.
And so what happens is if you get no credit, you have to go back and complete it.
I was just curious. I'm not worried, but like,
If you're going to fall in that D range, if you fall in the 60 to 69.5 range, you're now going to have a C minus.
Tristan.
Berto.
I said Tristan, not
Yeah.
I'll just
Yeah.
mute with them. They can send each other their little Snapchats.
A girl from Dance Moms liked my comment.
Who?
Asia.
Shish. If you get in the C minus range, for you guys got to remember that C minus is also a D now. The C minus is not like, hey, I got a 70 or a 71. C minus is, hey, I'm pretty close to failing. I'm pretty close to no credit, and I need to get my stuff together. I probably have at least, well, I would say one student in every class. That's not true because my fifth period is cranking it. I would
Yep.
say on average, I have about 4 or 5 kids that still have not started anything and really need to get some work done. And so, I've been reaching out to those. Those are not necessarily the ones in this live lesson. And so those people and other people are in danger of failing and getting no credit. Any questions about that?
Nope. No,
Cool.
you covered it.
Awesome. Well, let's go into the Bernie, you are not carrying fifth period. All right. Let's go into the PowerPoint. You guys finished the Korean War, correct?
I think so.
All right.
Yep.
Oh, speaking of which, I took a picture of you guys. Remind me at the end of the day to take a picture of all who showed up so I can make sure and give you guys your extra credit.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. In the 50s, did I go over this? Did I go over the 50s with you guys? With
Yeah.
Nixon, I did. With John.
I remember that slide.
Good. You do get brinkmanship. Brinkmanship is a term you need to know. It's about getting to the brink of war and staying as close to the brink of war as possible to scare other people away from war, right? It's kind of like how, that one kid who could just, like, trigger himself for any possible reason. Like, you walk in front of him and snap. Right? And so that's brinksmanship. 53, Stalin dies. Nikita Khrushchev takes over. 2 years later, he will create the Warsaw Pact to try and keep more countries communistic and to influence other countries around the Soviet bloc to put down revolutions and to put down people pushing for democracy and capitalism. This does bring us into the arms and the space race. These are two different things. The arms race is just that. It's who can race to have the biggest arms possible. Bernie sent me this text. Let me bring it out for you guys. It's brilliant.
Bernie Sanders sent you a text.
Bernie and me have a very interesting relationship because I coached him and he was a captain. So I usually give my captains the number. Bernie, should I show it with the class? Oh man, he's not even answering. Bernie, should I show this with the class?
No, never.
Oh, I shouldn't show you the highly photoshopped picture of you.
Oh.
Yeah, hey, do that. You can show them.
Here's Bernie's picture to me.
What?
How much weight he's gaining because he's getting buff. With the very much highlighted over rock.
Zoom in on the abs. Zoom in on the abs.
Oh man, those things are definitely real, dude. Look at those. Those are definitely real.
Post it on Reddit, r/roast me.
Definitely not.
Remember, this
New
is all being
Tinder profile
recorded.
picture.
It'll be on YouTube later.
I'm gonna
New
make sure
Tinder
to not
profile
put the
picture.
children button on it. Make sure to not Photoshop. It's bad, Bernie. I had to roast you, man. That was too good. I laughed so hard. Arms race. So like Bernie did the arms race to get the biggest arm in the stomach possible, the arms race for the United States and Soviet. I can't stop laughing. Who's laughing? The arms race for the Soviet Union and the United States is who could have the most nuclear weapons and the biggest bombs possible, right? And so the United States will create the hydrogen bomb, which is 100 times more powerful than the atomic bomb. I'm hoping that after this live lesson, I'm going to post a few videos. One of those will be the hydrogen bomb being used. The really sad thing and very terrible thing that does occur also is that the bombs that they use actually also get affected to American people. They test these hydrogen bombs out the Pacific Ocean, and one of them they do over a section of islands. What is the name of the city in SpongeBob SquarePants? Anyone?
Bikini
Bottom.
Bottom.
Bikini
Arkansas.
Bottom. Bikini Bottom is also known as one of the islands that they blow up with the hydrogen bomb, right? And so Bikini Bottom, if you think about it,
There's theory
SpongeBob
about
is
it.
a radioactive sponge. It is now a person. And, you know, the whole idea of Bikini Bottom is just what would happen if that radiation made these creatures living and real, like, so that they could talk.
Nazi zombies.
I've heard that theory. I've actually heard that.
That is a theory that I found so good because Bikini Bottom is one of those locations in which we bomb, we destroy, to shoot it off. And nearby in boats that gets very affected by the radiation is American soldiers. Those soldiers have a lot of negative effects that happen to them: early onset cancer, hair loss, different growths on their body, all sorts of stuff.
Mr. Wilson, you're telling me that SpongeBob SquarePants is the product of radiation?
I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying that is a very interesting storyline theory that could have happened.
But a sponge is a real animal.
Yes.
But he's not an actual sponge like
He's
the
not an
animal.
actual
His
sponge,
parents
right?
are, but not him.
He's a human sponge.
Like, yeah,
Does that make sense? He's not an
you
animal.
guys not
Sponges
look
don't
at
have
him. His
legs.
parents are the real sea sponge, and he's the sponge that we use to clean.
I'll
Yeah.
be the first to say this. I've never watched SpongeBob SquarePants. I only know the memes.
You should watch the first 4 seasons. They're brilliant.
No, I have not. I was busy watching Avatar.
Well, you know.
Yeah, watch like
I've
the
never
first seasons of
watched
SpongeBob. The last ones aren't like.
Within a
There
year,
is
the
exciting
Soviets will test and own their own hydrogen bomb. Again, 100 times more lethal than the atomic bomb that destroyed roughly 150 people in one instant in Japan. And at that point, it's just off to an arms race. They will also create ICBMs. ICBM stands for Intercontinental Ballistic Missiles. The picture on the right here is an ICBM. It's a missile that can go very, very far, like 500-600 miles, and drop a warhead. And so those are very dangerous because what it means is that the USSR could launch a missile from Czechoslovakia or Ukraine or one of these kind of Eastern European cities and hit anywhere on the Western Europe, like France, like London, like Lisbon or Madrid. And so these missiles can go very, very far. We will then make our own ICBMs, and then you get Sputnik. And Sputnik was the Soviets' first attempt of getting a satellite into orbit to navigate and discover and to try and be the first people into space. It's about an ego thing, right? Who can be the first to do something, right? And so 1 year later, the United States will launch its own item called NASA. And within a few years, we will land the first people on the moon. NASA stands for National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Can someone name me one astronaut from that journey?
Neil Armstrong.
Neil Armstrong is probably the easiest one to remember. That is correct.
Buzz
Neil
Aldrin.
Armstrong landed on the moon.
Buzz
I
Aldrin.
believe he's the one that says one small step for me, one giant leap for mankind, or something like that.
That was scripted.
I'm not
You know.
surprised.
Oh, he didn't say it on the spot.
What are you laughing over? Your speaker's toast. I can't hear a word you're saying.
Man.
So much lag.
So much lag.
Yeah.
One
I
small
think-
step for me.
One small step for me. Here we go. Next slide. Was the Cold War heating up? Yeah, there was a Cold War heating up. What happens is, I need to move these. Hold on, sorry. We got 25 people. That's awesome. Malia is still like lagged at one point.
What?
Yeah, you were lagging. Actually, a bunch of you guys were lagging on my screen. Maybe it's me. Elena was super lagged with her voice, and then all of a sudden it popped back. Oh, you guys are all back. All right. Cold War heating up. Whoa, what is that? That sounds like Nemo.
What? Why are you blaming this on me? What?
Someone is having fat feedback. Hold on.
Nemo didn't say anything, so it wasn't him.
I have a headset, so
That's what I
it's probably
thought.
so small you can't see it. This is sponsored by Raycon.
Moving on. What we start to see is the Cold War does start to heat up, and that means there's proxy wars. And proxy wars are essentially two people fighting through other people. So it'd be like if you had your little sibling go and fight your parents for you because you were unhappy with them. That's a proxy war, right? So Korea is one of those type of proxy wars in which we see communists versus capitalists fighting. And it's not directly the United States or the USSR, but it might involve one of those countries. So the USSR had given North Korea weapons and goods and training, and the United States actually fought in it. Vietnam is another one of these. Vietnam is a location that has been split into North and South due to revolts against the French leaders. French owned. Ooh, who is that? Says Nemo's talking. Nope.
And I'm mute. What? That's no. Yeah, that's because I have a earpiece, so it's not like I'm using it out of my phone. So
Let me just
Wait,
look.
Nemo, mute yourself just to see if it's anyone else.
It's Avery. Is it Avery? No.
I just wanted to comment. I mute myself whenever I'm
Yeah, I
done
think it
talking.
was Nemo. Nemo, we were getting feedback from something else, like a TV or something.
really? Hold on.
Yep. Have you guys seen that really funny clip of the dude who like yells at his mom during everything going on, or is it Daniel?
Is that better?
What?
You guys hear that, right? Really funny clip.
Yeah, I
Elena.
think someone may be playing a video of you. Is it?
Milena,
No.
you made a video of me.
What?
Milena,
Yes?
did you video or you watched a video of something?
No?
I hate Zoom.
I'm
I
trying to
think
log
someone's
in.
just lagging.
I'm trying to log in on my phone instead.
Mr. Wilson, can't you mute someone? Can't you mute everyone?
I
If you wanted
can't,
to.
but then I have to go back and start to unmute people when they want questions and stuff, and it's a pain in the butt.
Well,
could,
you
but-
just have to deal with it.
I guess I am. Thanks. In Vietnam, Vietnam had been really over the top and angry with the French leaders, so much so that some of their best young people had been coming back to the country, one of those people being Ho Chi Minh. Ho Chi Minh was a well-educated scholar in Europe who also went around and tried to convince countries to support Vietnam against France.
He's a hoe.
No, his name is Ho Chi Minh.
He's a hoe.
Wow, Nemo. he went around and tried to get people to support Vietnam and their freedom. Essentially, they start to revolt against French leaders, and North Vietnam is able to split off against the southern controlled by the French locations. The French will agree to give the southern part of Vietnam the ability to vote, as long as they're democratic and they're capitalist. America is very weary, though, of the growth of communism. So they come in and try and support the French and the South Vietnamese against the North Vietnamese. And so this is going to become another one. This is also going to become one of the longest wars that America has ever taken place in, and essentially a giant black stain on America's war history. You have conflicts in the Middle East that will take part around Israel and Muslim countries not liking Israel. We basically take land from Muslim countries to make Israel at the end of World War II. The Eisenhower Doctrine will start, in which we give force and financial help to combat communist aggression in places like Israel, Turkey, and Greece. We gave them a lot of money, and we sent troops there to try and stop communism from taking over. It is called the domino theory. The domino theory is this idea of stopping communism from spreading. The idea that if communism hits 1 or 2 or 3 countries, it's going to start to hit all these other ones like dominoes, right? So if you knock over one, it'll just go through and wipe out a bunch. And that is what they're worried about. You have the Southeastern Asian Treaty Organization, or SEATO, created by the United States. It is an alliance of democratic countries around Southeast Asia to fight communism. Places like Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Brazil, other locations like India and the United States to combat the growth of communism like that in Vietnam.
Mr. Wilson, I have a question real quick.
Yes.
I saw a fact online saying that technically the Korean War was never like it never ended technically. Is that true?
It is
Yeah.
true. Yeah, we had a ceasefire that's kind of just stayed in place.
It wasn't like they the North Korean and the South Korean president met at like last year or 2 years before
Last year to
end it.
agree to like kind of bring an end to this and try and discuss some issues that they were having. It was very interesting. But you're right, North Korea never officially ended. It just went into like a ceasefire. And so that is important because that is why there still is tension there today. They've never really made up or really had good relationships between North and South Korea, and still plays into issues specifically with humanitarian problems when it comes to North Korea, because they're not seen as very good people and they don't take care of their people very well. Whereas South Koreans are doing well. They're growing all the time. And its country is on a great high right now, if you will. As a teenager, Ho Chi Minh tried to meet with President Wilson in France after World War I. He believed that Vietnam was a country that could have flourished with support from Eastern and Western European countries to help grow its economy and become a powerful nation, like that of Japan. But currently, it was occupied by the French like a colony. And Wilson has to basically turn him away because he doesn't want to anger the French, who was a great ally of Wilson's and very important for World War I. Ho Chi Minh will return to Vietnam in 1941 to help fight against the Japanese trying to invade him during World War II. And after he has gained a lot of the confidence and support from civilians and from the average person, kind of the farmers in the rural community, he's gained a lot of support by being a big influential person, a freedom fighter, if you will. America is worried about the domino theory, and so we are worried that places like North Korea have already fallen, China has already fallen, and we don't want another one in Asia to fall. And so we start to send money and goods and support to South Vietnam to try and fight against communism in the North. Ho Chi Minh will be the guy who brings about that communist revolution. and we'll start to put that in place in Northern Korea. But obviously now you have conflicts because you have the United States not wanting to do that, but then the majority of the people in all of Vietnam wants to get away from the French. It also makes us very unliked in Vietnam. Let's see. The Geneva Convention or conference was a meeting between major political powers to decide Vietnam. The U.S. was afraid the vote between North and South Vietnam would result in a communist government. And so we will put in place, because at the conference, they basically said, hey, we're going to put Korea together. We're going to make a vote for, or not Korea, Vietnam, a one united Vietnam. And then they will then have their government. And America gets really scared. America does not believe they will win that vote nationwide in Vietnam to have a capitalist government and to have democracy. And so America will put Ngo Dinh Diem in charge of South Vietnam to try and be a resource to push capitalism and democracy in South Vietnam and into Northern Vietnam. And it backfires tremendously because Ngo Dinh Diem basically is he turns into a terrible dictator and tries to take over South Vietnam with an iron fist. He is not well liked. It was a brutal mistake. He was a dictator. He gave personal favors to Catholics because he had converted to Catholicism and wanted the Catholic Church to like him. He was harsh on his own people, many of whom still followed Buddhism and Confucianism. This will lead to open civil war between North Vietnam and South Vietnam. This stopped the vote that we wanted. We wanted to vote in like 52, 53. It holds off for 3 years because of this kind of civil war. Eisenhower, on the flip side, is very hesitant of sending troops to go fight with the South Vietnamese. But advisors advise him and give him support to go and send troops and goods into South Vietnam. And so there is some people moving there to help support and to push this idea of democracy. And what are you laughing at, Milena?
Mackenzie. I'm laughing at Kenzie because she looks so bad.
What?
I'm laughing at Kenzie because she looks mad.
She's always mad when she has to deal with my class. That's not true. Some people are agreeing. Maya's like, yeah, kind of. Where did this come from? No, it wasn't me. Like, let me just hide my eyes. Whatever just happened to...
No, because what is...
What?
That just doesn't... It doesn't have the same effect.
Mm-hmm.
Going like that.
Yeah, moving on. I'm so lost. Kennedy, JFK will start to add soldiers and generals into South Vietnam so they can give them tactics and help them fight against the Viet Cong. Viet Cong is the term for the average Vietnamese peasant who is revolting against Diem's rule. And the problem is Diem is so bad, we actually have to assassinate him. We assassinate the leader that we put in charge. By 63, with Kennedy, we had over 16,000 troops of Vietnam. We will never know what would have really happened because Kennedy will be assassinated and Diem will be assassinated. And so this was a terrible, terrible setup because we put in place a dictator who was supposed to unify Vietnam for capitalism and democracy. And if anything, he made more Vietnamese hate him. And then to fix it, Kennedy is killed. The Kennedy assassination is one we will go into a little bit later, but there's a video on on YouTube that shows his assassination. It's very interesting. I would literally be showing you guys a video about this week, but no, of course not. To win support, Johnson will stretch the facts to get the Tonkin Gulf Resolution. In the Tonkin Gulf Resolution, the new President Johnson who takes over for Kennedy, states that the USS Maddox was attacked by North Vietnamese, which is not the truth of it. He said a ship was down. He said the major ship lost soldiers. None of that is true. He wants support, and Congress will vote to give Johnson the consent of Congress to go to war. Basically, it starts to pry away some of the powers from Congress to give presidents more presidential powers. Things like going to war for 90 days is one of those things that came out of that. And that is out of the Tonkin Gulf Resolution. So make sure you guys know that. And so this is a picture of Vietnam. If we go back and we look at a picture of Europe, we don't really have a great picture of Europe. If we look at Korea, Vietnam is far south of Korea, right? Here's China up here, and then it stops. You got Laos, you got Cambodia, you have Thailand. It's way down here if you look at this little mini map in the middle. And Korea is way up here by Japan, these sets of islands. And so Vietnam is a very different ballgame. Vietnam is separated by the city of Tay Son. Ooh, who is that talking? All right, all disappeared. Where we actually kind of hold the majority of the very, very light green down here. But the North Vietnamese are very brutal. They have a really good tactic. They use the Ho Chi Minh Trail to bring down goods and try and defeat them. They use guerrilla tactics. So there's quite a bit going on here for this war. We're going to stop the war there and let you guys go. That was a solid 30 minutes teaching. Not bad at all.
I'm ready to take a photo.
We will go over the rest of the Vietnam War on Thursday. It's a great picture, Birdie.
Did you take a photo of like the people so far on here?
I did. I'm going to take another one with everyone now because we are at 25.
I get extra credit twice since I'm here twice.
No. You guys only get extra credit once a week. So if you come, you get the extra credit. All right. So that is that. Do you guys have any questions for me?
What was the Watergate scandal?
We're not there yet. We will be getting there pretty soon.
Hi, Mr. Wilson.
Hi, Chloe. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm tired.
Chloe!
I'm going to take a quick nap right now.
Did you take the picture yet?
What's up,
Hi,
Chloe?
Chloe.
Oh, it's Chode. I love her.
What did you call her, Melina?
Mr. Wilson, did you take the photo?
I did take the photo. You guys are all good to go. You guys can go ahead and start dropping out if you want to. I'll be closing us soon. Bye, Melina.
Okay. Bye, Mr. Wilson.
Bye. Have a good one.
Mr. Wilson, I fell off with
You too.
Late.
What?
Bye.
Bye, Mr. Wilson.
Bye. Have a good one. Bye. I'm going to close it down. You guys have a great time. Thank you
Bye,
guys.
Mr. Wilson.
No, I don't think I will.
Have a good one. Take a quick nap.